Got to get used to that. So I'm not sure how it was around. I think bone health first. I think it was advertised. So we're going to look at bones. And bones are breaking down. It's called osteoporosis. You might have heard of it. And bones aren't meant to break down. So we're going to look at our million-dollar question, which is why? Why are bones breaking down? I was reading a story about the Hunza people. You've heard of the Hunza people up in the mountains? And they don't have hospitals, they don't have doctors, and they don't have nurses, and they don't have a jail either. They don't have police. And they eat food in its natural state. They drink the water from the mountain streams. They have a little tiny bit of meat, but it's usually only once or twice a year on festive occasions. I think they have a little bit of goat's yogurt or cheese, but that's about all. So they certainly are eating very nourishing food. They're very much living these laws that we've been talking about. And the game polo came from the Hunzas. So they originated the game polo. And they also play volleyball, and sometimes the over 50s are playing the under 50s, and the over 50s often win, and sometimes they fall off horses and their bones don't break. Or if there is a scrape, it heals very, very quickly. They're bodies that are designed to heal themselves, and they heal themselves very efficiently, very effectively, because they're given the right conditions. But I'd like to look at what's causing bones to deteriorate. So the other night, I think it was something like Monday night, I talked about hormones. And I also showed how there are many things that are causing a disruption in hormones. And one of the things that's disrupted is estrogen comes too high and progesterone comes too low. Progesterone is the precursor of the other hormones. And we looked at how the contraceptive pill, many herbicides, insecticides, chemicals are getting the estrogen levels up and the progesterone levels down. Now, what progesterone does, it stimulates bone-building cells. They're called osteoblast cells. So anyone with a hormonal imbalance can suffer from osteoporosis. So we're going to look at some of the causes of bones breaking down. And the only exposed bone in the body is the teeth. Did you know that teeth, like any other tissue in the body, is designed to heal itself? And did you know that even when a little cavity comes, immediately systems are in place to heal that cavity? That's interesting too, isn't it? So the causes, let's say causes of bone loss. So number one is a hormone imbalance. What we also looked at the other day was how the Anna's wild yam cream can help to bring that balance back. So the progesterone, which is the hormone that's displaced when the hormones are out of balance, it stimulates the osteoblast cells. Osteo means bone, blast means new cells. So everyone with osteoporosis should be on that Anna's yam cream. If you didn't get that presentation, I think you can still get it because it's been live streamed, or you can go to the YouTube and get my hormone lecture. Now there's something else that's causing bone loss, and that is mineral loss. So how do we get mineral loss? Well, I've got some news that might be new to you, and that is that bones are not made of calcium. Because when people have osteoporosis or brittle bones, what do they put on? Calcium supplements. But But bones are not made of calcium. So what are bones made of? They're made of 12 trace minerals and 64 trace. So let's have a look at those minerals. One is boron, and yes, calcium, and chromium, and iron, and magnesium, and manganese, and selenium, and silica, and sulfur, and potassium, phosphorus, and zinc. That's what bones are made of, and 64 trace. 64 trace minerals. So it's not rocket science, but that's what bones need. They need that balance. So where do you find that balance? That's the billion-dollar question. Where do you find that balance? Dr. Robert Thompson, in his book, The Calcium Lie, he says the clearest indication of a creator God is seawater, because seawater has this balance. Seawater is often called an isotonic solution because it contains exactly the same mineral proportion and balance as is found in body tissues, in the blood, in the lymph, and in the bones. The good news is we don't have to drink seawater. All you have to do is have the Celtic salt, that whole salt. Have you been trying that little bit of crystal before you begin every glass of water? So what I think we'll do here is recovery. What can you do to recover? Number one, the Anna's Wild Yam Cream. And that's what is discussed in my hormone lecture. Number two, so what are we going to do for the mineral loss? The Celtic salt? So there's another place that you'll find the minerals in this balance and this proportion, and that is dark green leafy vegetables. Dark green leafy vegetables have that mineral balance, but they must be organic. Because what organic farmers do is they feed the soil. And when they feed the soil, they feed the microorganisms in the soil. This is taking us back to Sunday night. And the microorganisms in the soil break down the minerals in the soil, make them available for the plants. And so those plants have a far higher mineral content. So if the soil's rich, the plant's rich, and the person that eats that plant is going to get a good dose of minerals. So organic greens, green leafy vegetables. And when you cook vegetables, you do not lose the minerals. Do you remember in the old days, the lady'd have a fuel stove, and in the corner she'd have her stock pot. And she'd throw the carrot tops and onion skins and all those bits and pieces. And then after a couple of hours, she'd take all that out, and she's got that thick, rich broth. You know what it's rich in? Minerals. It's the minerals from the carrot tops. It's the minerals from the onion skins. It's the minerals from all that. At Misty Mountain Health Retreat, and also at Living Springs Retreat and at Eden Valley, we serve our guests broth every night. And this is a whole lot of vegetables, simmered for about 4 hours, they're strained. And one of the reasons we give that to the guests is they have a steam sauna through the day. So in the big sweat, they're sweating out some of their minerals, and so it's replaced when they have broth. And I know in Australia, traditionally women would keep all the vegetable water and make the gravy out of that. And it's those minerals. So minerals are essential. Your body cannot heal without the minerals. And your bones, they start to weaken when they don't have those minerals. So we've got mineral loss because of a basic lack of minerals. Cow's milk will not give you calcium. Let me show you what happens. Here's a glass of cow's milk. And it has quite a bit of calcium, but also quite a bit of protein. Animal protein is very dirty burning fuel. Only 58% is burnt as fuel. That leaves we'll put that here, a 42% waste. It's pretty dirty burning fuel, isn't it? Now, it's a very acid fuel, and what the body does to negate acidity, it uses calcium, because calcium is one of the most alkaline minerals. So the calcium in the cow's milk is used to negate that 42% waste. How much calcium's left for the body? None. You see, a calf can access the calcium because they've got 5 stomachs. We've only got 1. We've got a totally different digestive tract to the animals. Cow's milk's a very good milk for baby calves. But if you give a newborn calf the milk in the supermarket, that calf will die. See, the pasteurisation kills all the vitamin C. The only reason they started pasteurisation is because of filthy dairies. So you see how that all happened. So, no, the cow's milk won't do it. In fact, the countries in this world that consume the highest amount of dairy products have the highest incidence of osteoporosis. And if a person is eating a lot of acid-forming foods, say and alcohol and sugars and wheats, they're all acid-forming foods, there's not enough calcium to help negate that acid buildup. So where's the body going to get its calcium from now? Your bones. So it can actually be responsible for mineral loss out of the body. So these two are the highest source of the minerals that are needed. These 12 main minerals and then 64 trace.
Can I ask what the WYC is? I didn't hear.
Sorry, that's the wild yam cream.
Okay.
So the Anna's wild yam cream is the cream I talked about. I know it's a long time ago. Was that Monday night? Okay, that's good. Something else that's causing the mineral loss, and that is, I just mentioned your high acid foods. Now, I did mention this on Sunday night. There are two articles that particularly leach the minerals out, and that is your refined sugar. So your refined sugar and also caffeine. And as you can see, the dairy milk. If dairy milk is taken, especially with these two, you get an extra loss. I know that I was in Los Angeles airport a few years ago. I had a very early morning flight. And when I got off the escalator, I could hardly get around the lineup of people. Where were they lined up to? Starbucks Cafe. And what's in that coffee? Oh yes, well, there's 3. Is that right? And it wasn't 8 ounce, looked like 16 ounce, these big ones. It's almost a culture today, isn't it? The coffee drinking. And yet it's causing this mineral loss. So when you consider what people are doing, and many people are sick through ignorance, we've looked at that a few times, it's all contributing to the mineral loss. So the mineral loss is happening because people are eating devitalized foods. The mineral loss is happening because of the stimulants that they're partaking of. So recovery, remember this is the temperance part, you've got to stop. You've got to stop all the mineral leeches because we're battling enough to get them in. So stopping the mineral leeches. But something else is happening. This comes to number 3, and this has got a lot to do with the mineral loss, and that is vitamin D deficiency. I was looking at a presentation by he was a specialist doctor, skin specialist, and he said every single patient he has had that's had COVID has a vitamin D deficiency. I don't know whether you've heard of that. So let's look at vitamin D. We need to know what it is and how we can get it. And we also need to know why it is so important. The ultraviolet rays from the sun hit the skin, and they form a type of cholesterol just under the skin to vitamin D. So can you see what's needed? This is what's needed for vitamin D. Vitamin D is needed sun, particularly the UVB rays. So we need sun and the UVB rays. And by the way, sunscreen blocks all UVB rays and glass blocks UVB rays. We also need cholesterol. Now, last night we had a look at the importance of cholesterol. We also looked at the fact that it is not causing heart disease. It's the result of damage to the arterial walls. We need cholesterol. We also looked at the fact that they've changed the levels. So between 2 and 300, that's a pretty good reading. So what happens is the sun's rays, particularly the UVB, they convert a form of cholesterol just under the skin to vitamin D. And vitamin D is essential in the assimilation of calcium in the body. But not only the assimilation, but the absorption. So that is what causes the calcium to go into the skin. Calcium's called the king. And the reason why calcium's called the king is because when calcium gets in, all the other minerals piggyback on the back of calcium. That's why it's called the king. And because of that, there's been a misconception around the calcium, because people think, well, it's the king, let's just take calcium supplements. But you go into an aged care facility, they're just about all on calcium supplements and they've all got osteoporosis. It doesn't seem to make any sense, and they're all inside. And I don't know if you've been in aged care facility, it's just tragic what's happening, that you're not even allowed to go in there. It's just cruel what this COVID's done, just really cruel, especially when you realise that there's been no more deaths last year to COVID than there usually is to the flu. Did you know that? And a lot of the numbers are being pumped up because no one dies of old age anymore. Have you noticed that? No one dies of cancer, heart disease, pneumonia, lung cancer or bronchitis or asthma anymore. It's all called COVID. I can see by the nodding heads that people are aware of that. And it is cruel that in these aged care facilities, the people hang out every week, I should say, to see their grandchildren, and they're not allowed. Ooh. It's time for us to stand up, hey? But there is a movement rising up against these things. But you'll find that all the people on calcium supplements, they've still got osteoporosis. It's not working, because that calcium cannot be used by the body, and it often dumps itself in the kidneys, kidney stones, on the bones as bone spurs, in the gallbladder as gallstones, even to the point of building up plaque on the inside of the arteries. So let me give you a few facts about the sun. The sun. There's some alarming figures coming out today. In Norway, I think it's between 1990 and year 2000, skin cancer rates skyrocketed 600%. That's a little bit phenomenal. And they put it down to two things. The Norwegians are spending more time indoors, whereas they used to mostly be outdoors, and they're now using sunscreen. Now, what are we told? Sure, wouldn't that mean that the skin cancer rates are dropping? what they're finding now, that vitamin D deficiency is playing a huge role in skin cancer. When you put sunscreen on, you block the UVB rays. They're the important rays. So when Michael and I had a holiday in Cairns, I don't know if you've heard of Cairns, it's right on top of Australia, so it's fairly warm. And every morning I went out by the pool and I laid in the sun, and I didn't have sunscreen, I had a clock. 15 minutes front, 15 minutes back under the umbrella. 15 minutes front, maybe in the afternoon, and by about 4 and 5 days I had a lovely golden tan. Now I can go out into that sun for quite a long period of time. The darker the skin, the more sun you need. In fact, very dark skin needs about 10 times the sun. In fact, I heard recently that I've got milky skin. They call this white skin milky skin. So with white skin, you need to be a little cautious. You go out in the sun for an hour, you're going to be terribly burnt. Now you can't go back in the sun now for quite a while, and that burn damages your skin. The research is showing that 6 to 7 sunburns in your lifetime doubles your risk of skin cancer. Now, when you get someone with basal cell carcinoma on the bottom of their foot or the inside of their thigh, you can't blame that on the sun, can you? There is far more to the equation. The sun is not the problem. Obviously, if you overdo the sun, you're going to get burnt and damage your skin, but there are a lot more things that come into the equation than the sunshine. We actually need sunshine because we need that vitamin D, because we need those minerals, and we need the cholesterol to make the vitamin D. So make sure you have some sunshine every single day. I just had an email from a lady this afternoon, and the doctor found she was low in vitamin D, and he gave her a huge dose. Now she's got a rash all over her body. It's one of the side effects of too much vitamin D from the supplement form. I said to her, go and lay in the sun. It'll be good for your skin. It'll give you a bit of vitamin D too. A few things about vitamin D. If you wash your body with soap and go and lie in the sun, you'll get no vitamin D, because there needs to be a development of the natural oils on the skin. So if you do have a shower, wait a couple of hours before you lay in the sun. And if you lay in the sun and then go and have a shower and scrub your body with soap, you won't get any vitamin D, because the skin needs 2 hours to develop the vitamin D. It's stored in the kidney, and then it's released and used by the liver as it needs it. The body stores vitamin D quite well too. So be mindful of what your body needs to be able to get the vitamin D. Put as much of your body into the sun as you can. It is not the enemy in the sky, it is the doctor in the sky, and God put it there for a reason. You might have seen the picture on the internet of the Spanish flu and how they started to put all the beds outside in the sunshine. Sunshine penetrates deep, and it can kill all sorts of viruses, bacteria, pathogens. So open up your bedrooms, open up the windows, let that fresh air and sunshine in. The sun is a wonderful thing. Did you know that the ultraviolet rays from the sun go through neurochemical pathways into your pineal gland and help you sleep better at night? We'll look at that in our next lecture. Also causing a boost of your mood hormone. Also releases a hormone that helps you understand and retain things a little bit better, all because of the sunshine. But we need those UVB rays. Remember the suntan I just explained to you, like 15 minutes front, 15 minutes back every day? That was a UVB ray suntan. And I've still got that suntan. That's the suntan that lasts, and that's the suntan that protects against strong sunlight, the UVB. So that's how we can get our vitamin D. If someone's very low, they may need to take some supplements for a while. So number 3, what do we need to get our minerals? We need sunshine to boost our vitamin D levels. So this is recovery, and these are the causes. Number 4, lack of exercise. Exercise strengthens muscles. Everyone knows that. But exercise strengthens bones too. And the best bone building exercises is rebounding or trampolining. Now, if you've got a trampoline in your house and the kids visit, where are the kids? I had a trampoline for a long time till we got a big storm and it all ended up down on the road. Broke. But my grandkids, oh, they love the trampoline. They're out there half the day. Have you noticed how much children love to jump? I've come to the conclusion that people get old because they stop jumping. What's the old saying? Jump for joy. And they'd be jumping out there and you'd hear a cry. And I'd say, okay, one at a time, one at a time. Isn't that what all the adults say? And then all the children came in and said, Grandma, we want to have a little talk with you. And I said, what is it, boys? And they said, it's such fun jumping together on the trampoline. Now, if one of us cries, don't worry about it, okay? We'll handle it. I said, okay. So I went inside and they're all jumping together. Then I heard a cry and I looked out and the other children go, shh, shh, shh. Okay. So they all jump together and sometimes there's a crash and anyway, they handle it. You know, that's the best. Children learn best from cause to effect. Well, we don't have the trampoline now and the boys are a bit bigger, but I have a little rebounder in my house. And guess where the kids are when they come to visit? On that rebound. Strength comes by exercise, but the most powerful strength building exercise is defying gravity. We're constantly being pulled down to the ground. There's this force of gravity that pulls us down. And what rebounding does is it's leaping against the pull of gravity. And so leaping up against the pull of gravity strengthens every single cell in the body. There is not one part of your body that is not affected by the rebounding. It's the most powerful form of exercise there is. And so let me show you why it's so powerful. So the first one we've got is there are 3 forces that come together. One is defying gravity. And let me just take a moment to bring something to your attention. I've had 6 babies. And you've got your new little baby and you're holding him, and what's the first thing that baby wants to do? Push its head up. Push its head up. And then the baby, when you put it on the ground, starts to push itself up. And then when it starts to crawl, it goes to the chair and it pulls itself up. It's constantly trying to get up. And then you put it in the cot and they start jumping all over the place. They're constantly trying to push up to defy gravity. That's your bone and tissue building exercise. And in the investigation to why it is such a powerful form of exercise, excuse me, I'm going to cough. There are a few books that are talking about the rebounder, and it's certainly worth looking at it. And of course, what everyone does now, I'm a reader, I just love reading. They Google, isn't that right? You can Google anything. So if you Google this, you'll find this information. So there's another force, and that is acceleration. So when you're on the rebounder and you leap off the mat, you are accelerating. So the mat accelerates you up, and then you get to the tip of the jump and you decelerate. Is that right? And then you start to come down, and as you're coming down, you're building up speed and you're accelerating again. And then you hit the mat and you're decelerating. So there's constantly these 3 forces that come together. There's defying gravity, there's acceleration when you're leaping up, and there's deceleration When you get to the top of your bounce, then you're accelerating again, then you hit the mat and you're deceleration. And there's a quote from Einstein that says that these three forces have an identical effect on the body. And what it does, because you're constantly going up, down on the mat, there's no jarring because you've got this springing effect, this cushion, this like shock absorber effect when you hit the mat, that the cells are just constantly going like this, and they're adapting and adjusting to these three forces, which strengthens every single cell in the body. And we're specifically talking about your bones, strengthens your bones. So everyone should have a rebounder. And I've got some good news. You only need 3 minutes 3 times a day. That's not much, is it? I was telling the story last night about the man who had very swollen legs. See, that's lymph fluid. And what rebounding does is it moves lymph fluid. Now, your lymphatic system is your body's vacuum cleaner. It sweeps away waste from the tissue. Then it dumps the waste into the nodes under your arms, in your groins, and then dumps that waste into the blood, and you urinate it out, sweat it out, that comes out via your colon. That's how it all works. Your lymphatic system is an interesting system because it's like a network of capillaries, like little canals, and there are little gates all along the canals. Now, your blood system, your heart pumps your blood, and all around all your blood vessels are like a little muscular system. And so when the heart pumps, there's this pumping all the way down. Have you ever wondered how the blood gets back? We have a second heart, and that's your calf muscle. So even just doing this, it activates your second heart, which is your calf muscle. When you're rebounding, of course, it's your calf muscle that's skyrocketing you up again. But the lymphatic system doesn't have a muscular covering. It does not have a pump. And there are little gates all the way along it. And those gates are only opened with activity, but there's only one activity that opens every single gate all at once, and that's rebounding. So when you leap up and you hit the top of your bounce, every gate opens. And when you come down and hit the mat, every gate closes. And then you're going up again, every gate opens. So this pumping action happens. And remember what your lymphatic system is, it's your body's vacuum cleaner. So it's sweeping away waste from the tissues. And we need to vacuum our internal house every single day. So there are a couple of amazing things that the rebounding does, but what we're particularly talking about now is bone strength. Now, if you really want to do some weight building, that'll do it, but try rebounding with a couple of weights in your hands. And if you want to strengthen your biceps, as you jump, you have your hands out like this. So jumping with your arms out like that will strengthen your biceps, and then turn your arms around like that, and you'll strengthen your triceps. So you can have strong arms from rebounding by lifting your arms out. So that's the power of the rebounder. Please don't buy a $27 rebounder because it'll be almost as bad as jumping on the floor. So the two best, so your Mercedes-Benz would be your knee duck, and your Rolls-Royce is your Bellicon. Now the Bellicon one has, it's like it's got rubber straps, whereas the knee duck has the springs. It's very important that the springs start little and then go big and go little again. So they're shaped like that, the springs. And you'll find that on the knee duck, but the very best is the Bellicon. It'll be much cheaper for you than it is for us. We have to pay to get it from the US over to Australia. We bought 2 Bellicons 5 years ago now, and they were $1,000 each for us. But I think that it'll probably cost you about $350, something like that. But it is well worth the money. And what you can do, they don't take up much room. You put it up on its side and slip it behind the lounge through the day. One lady said, but I've got a trampoline outside, so I'll just use that. And I said, yeah, you won't. You won't go out there. With exercise, you have to make an appointment with yourself. You have to do that, or you're going to do it in a minute. You'll do it later. You won't. You won't. So you have to make that appointment. Your bones need it. So number 5 for recovery is rebounding. Is there another form of exercise that you can do for bone building? Well, I guess there's your weight strengthening ones. These are your, again, defying gravity. It's defying gravity that builds the bones. So push-ups, leg ups, all of those will do. We're looking at what are some of the causes of bone loss, and one is a high acid diet. So what is your high acid diet? Let's make a list of some acid foods. In my book, Self-Heal by Design, I have a chapter on the acid alkaline, so I define it in there. So your high acid foods would be your meat, your dairy, and sugar, refined sugar. So we'll put refined sugar. Also caffeine and wheat. The hybridized wheat of today is that acid food. So when you look at all those, Americans consume a lot of high acid foods. So how do high acid foods affect the bones? When you've got an acid condition rising in your tissues, the pH or acid alkaline balance in your blood, it never changes, but it can change in your tissues. So when it is getting too acid, the body uses calcium to negate the acidity, and it's pulled out of the biggest storage house in the body, which is the bones. And it's pulled out as a calcium phosphate. It immediately starts to neutralize the acid condition, but then the body's got to do something with these calcium deposits. Kidney stones, gallstones, building up as cataracts, bone spurs. But you now know how to get rid of a bone spur, don't you? Castor oil compresses. And so that is weakening the bones. Have you ever asked a doctor, what is that bone spur? And he'll say, it's a calcium deposit. What's your next question? Why? Why is it on bone? In bone? If he has studied nutrition, he can explain, as I just did, but if he hasn't studied nutrition, he possibly will say, well, it might be genetics, which I think is a bit of a cop-out, because remember, genetics loads the gun and lifestyle pulls the trigger. It is so unfortunate the doctors only study nutrition for a couple of hours in their whole 7 years. Apparently they're improving. I think it's gone up to 3 hours, but it's still not much. Some doctors do know nutrition, but they've done their own research in the area. Like Dr. Robert Thompson, he was about to get out of medicine. He said, my patients weren't getting better. He said it was a frustration. But he said 7 years is a long time to just walk out of it. So he did a nutrition course and his eyes were opened. He said, we learn all this, but with a lot of exam, it's cram, cram, cram. And there's not a lot of questions on the nutrition part of it. So what we should be doing to get a balance in acid alkaline in our body is having about 80% alkaline forming foods. What are your most alkaline forming foods? Vegetables, lots of vegetables, especially your dark green leafy vegetables. And remember, you don't lose your minerals when you cook them, only if you throw the water away. And 20% acid. Does that mean we have 20% of these foods? Well, I actually don't eat those foods. But there are other foods that are acid, like rice and oats and chickpeas and walnuts and pecans. Not bad foods. You need a little acid. But what I've listed here is probably the most acid that many people are taking, which is causing a leaching or a mineral loss coming out of the bones, all contributing to weakness in the bones. The next one I'm going to mention to you might surprise you, and that's dehydration. And to explain this, I'm going to target the only exposed bone in our body, which is our teeth. Our teeth are designed to repair themselves. Did you hear that? Repair themselves. So how do they repair themselves? By two fluids, the internal fluid and the external fluid. And the external fluid is our saliva. What influences the internal fluid and the external fluid? Well, actually, these laws. The food that we eat. So if we're well hydrated, well sunned, well mineralized, well nourished, sleeping good hours every night, that internal and that external fluid will be highly nourishing. As soon as there's a mark on the teeth, internal, which is fed by our blood, starts to heal that little scrape. And the external fluid, which is our saliva, that's greatly influenced by hydration, the food that we're eating, and it bathes the teeth every day, and that bathing helps to heal those teeth. One of the biggest causes of decay is build-up of food between the teeth. Do you remember I mentioned something last night? The only teeth you need to floss are the ones you want to keep. On Sunday night, I talked about microorganisms and how they're opportunist organisms. So if you've got bits of food between your teeth, in that warm environment, they start to break down. It actually starts to rot. And then the microorganisms come along to clean up that rot, and they can start to affect your tooth enamel. You just put some food in a warm environment for a while, what happens to it? It goes bad. Have you ever flossed your teeth and then smelt the, need I say anymore? So it's a very good idea if after every meal, you don't necessarily have to brush your teeth, but rinse your teeth with salt water and floss your teeth. And when you get the dental floss, put a little bit of tea tree oil or peppermint oil on the floss. And so that when you floss it all clean, you've left a little bit of those oils there that will help to check any bacteria that's there. If everyone do that, there'd be hardly any need to go to the dentist. Now, did I hear a big cheer? No one likes the dentist very much, do they? It's so simple. It's so simple. I remember I took my children to the dentist. The youngest was 6. I think the eldest was about 15, something like that. No, maybe 4 to 15. And the dentist looked at all their teeth. She said, "Your children's teeth astonish me." She said, "Their teeth are great. There's no marks, there's no decay." She said, "One of the children had a little bit of decay, but the tooth is so strong, it's actually healing." What did we eat? We grew all our own veggies. We lived up in the mountains. We drank the mountain water. We had no electricity. You know, when you got no electricity, when the sun goes down, you don't stay awake for very long. So you're going to bed early. So this is the other, is, believe it or not, lack of sleep can cause bone loss. You see, it's while we sleep, lack of sleep. Bone loss up there, lack of sleep. Lack of sleep can cause bone loss. How? While we're sleeping, and we'll look at it in the next lecture, while we're sleeping, our body's healing and reviving and strengthening while we sleep. We need that downtime. And because of technology, a lot of people aren't getting the sleep they need today. So let's go over to number 7, 8 hours. Got that? 8 hours. Use the NN, not negotiable. And ideally, the earlier the better, starting the earlier the better. You might be able to do 8 to 4 this week, but you can do 9 to 5. I haven't got 9 to 5 last night, and I've got about a half-hour drive to where I'm staying. As much as possible. That's how you strengthen your bones. Don't you love that it's that simple? It's incredibly simple. You see, our bones and our teeth, which are part of our bone, are all fed by what we eat, by what we drink, by how much we sleep, by our exercise. It all influences it. See, a lot of little threads come together to make a rope, and a strong man can come along and try and break that rope, and he cannot. And a little tiny mouse that the strong man could just stomp on and kill, that little tiny mouse can start eating away, nibbling at all those little threads. And the rope breaks that the strong man could not break. And often you will find that when a person has a health condition, that it's not just this, it's not just that, it can be a whole lot of little things. So how do we bring about healing? You've got to start joining all the threads. You've got to start joining all the threads to get that body strong and fit and healthy again. The girl that worked with me for 5 years, why doesn't she work with me anymore? Oh, she got married. She worked with me for 5 years, and she had an app on her phone, or a picture, I should say, on her phone. And it was two 80-year-old ladies. And one lady was hunched over with a walking stick, barely walking, and the other lady was standing up straight. She just had a crop top on and tracksuit pants, and you could count her abs. And she looked good. Both 80. And down the bottom of these pictures, my friend had, you choose. You choose. On Saturday morning, which actually is tomorrow, isn't it? I'm going to go to the part of your brain where you make your decisions. I'm going to look at what strengthens our decision-making faculties. I'm going to look at what weakens our decision-making faculties. And one lady said, all week you've told us what to do, and on Saturday morning you tell us how to do it. So I trust that you're excited about how you can revive your bones, how you can get strong bones. We're going to have a little break now. It is almost 7 o'clock. So let's come back about 10 past 7. And when we come back, we're going to look at sleep. And I'm going to show you what sleep does, why we need sleep, and what happens when we don't get enough. So please have a break, and we'll come back and look at sleep.
Sick and tired of being sick and tired? Do you want out? About 83 Americans die from heart disease and stroke every hour. 88 million adults in the U.S. are pre-diabetic, and more than 84% of them don't even know they have it. At least 2.8 million adults die each year as a result of being overweight or obese. As stated by the CDC, these lifestyle diseases and others may increase your risk of severe illness if you become infected with the novel coronavirus. Are you a slave to medications and recurring doctor's visits? Are you stuck in the same round of seemingly unbreakable habits, hoping that someday things will be different? Are you sick and tired of being sick and tired? Do you want out? Good intentions are fine, as far as they go. But you will eventually have to make the choice to take a chance, or your life will never change. According to an article published in the Journal of the American Medical Association, diseases associated with poor diet and lifestyle choices, such as diabetes and cancer, are the leading causes of death in America. Are you ready to choose to change? Then it's time for you to take the 10-Day Fit Challenge. FIT stands for Food Inspiring Total Transformation. Scientific studies have made it clear that a whole food, plant-based diet, like the one we will provide for you, can boost the immune system, fortifying your body against infectious diseases, including viruses. Our body is designed to heal itself, and it will heal itself, given the right conditions. During the 10-Day Challenge, we will make personalized recommendations that will create the conditions needed for your body to let the healing begin. Here's what you can expect. First, we will take you through a comprehensive health consultation to ensure that you have an experience adapted to your specific needs. Second, you will be assigned to a health coach from our worldwide network of health nutrition consultants. They will be there to answer questions, offer counsel, and ensure that you have a safe, effective, and enjoyable experience. And third, we will design a plan specifically for you. In this program, you will receive an exercise regimen uniquely aligned with your health goals, private and group classes that feature life-changing science-based education and dynamic culinary workshops. And lastly, a unique nutrition program which includes fresh, picked organic produce in the true spirit of farm to table, a skilled chef who will create delicious, life-giving meals, and fresh pressed juices. These meals will be delivered to your home or business daily. Besides bringing you daily meals, we will also take a trip with you to the grocery store, where you will learn how to analyze food labels as well as pick the best produce for your future meal plans. This plant-based diet can help with weight loss, boosting immunity, and detoxing from the various toxins that bombard us every day. This challenge is geared toward your success, leading you to a restoration of the whole being, mentally, physically, spiritually. Here are a few stories of past participants who have gone through the program. Listen to how they have been encouraged and transformed by this 10-day challenge.
The 10-day challenge is hopefully a springboard to a lifestyle change that I'm planning on making. I recently was diagnosed with breast cancer, and it really opened my eyes to my health and the way I'd been living my life. And I want to be around for my family, my friends, and the world. So I think that this 10-day challenge, so far I'm on day 3, and I did the 2-day detox to start out with. I've already lost 4 pounds, and my energy level has skyrocketed. I just can't believe how much energy I have from eating a plant-based diet, and how I don't feel lethargic from eating the processed foods that I was eating before, because I definitely didn't think it was going to go that way. And I've started eating the vegan plan today. And again, I worked in the yard all day, and I didn't run out of energy. I didn't feel hungry, and I feel nourished and whole. And I think if I continue to apply these lessons that I've learned through the program throughout the rest of my life, that'll definitely help out with not ever having cancer again, which is what my goal is, and getting healthy and losing a little bit of weight.
To find out more about the 10-day challenge or to sign up for the next program, contact us today. Why wait for a better life tomorrow when you can have it today? It's time to let the healing begin.
But as everyone's coming back, I want to mention a herb that's called knit bone, because it knits bones. It's comfrey. It's Comfrey. And you can buy comfrey cream in health food sections of, I think you've got Trader Joe's, Whole Foods, Sprouts, and they all have like a section that has herbal creams, things like that. We grow comfrey, and I dry it and make my own cream, but not everyone can do that. But I had a serious tear on my shoulder of the muscle that goes through there, and I had a 1 centimetre retraction, and the orthopaedic surgeon said, you will need keyhole surgery for that. But I'm a public patient, so I went on a 10-month waiting list. And what I did was grated comfrey root poultices for 4 hours twice a day, every single day. And when 10 months came and they said, you can have surgery now, I said, don't need it now. So your supraspinatus tendon causes you to go like that, then your deltoid kicks in. Well, it's working. And it's the comfrey. It's a remarkable herb. What's the dose? Oh, you just put the comfrey cream on a couple of times a day. You can't overdo it. Yes? It's a furry plant that has leaves, they're sort of fat leaves like that. And they're a bit furry. And they have a flower that has like little bells like that, like little pinky purple bells. And they don't come up till probably halfway through summer. In the summer and the spring, all the healing properties are in the leaves, but you call it fall, yeah? We call it autumn. And winter, all the healing properties go into the root. So when I had this injury, it was winter, so I dig up the root and grate it and make the poultice like that. But in the summer, if I was making it, I'd mortar and pestle the leaves, or I'd do something that my children said I'm never allowed to demonstrate. I just chew it up and spit it out. It's all nice and gooey, slap it on. Just you want that juice to come out, because that juice penetrates deep and that does the work. There's a little tiny gland in the base of your brain, and it's called the pineal gland. And the pineal gland, it releases 4 hormones every night. And at the moment, with your daylight saving, do you call it daylight saving? Summertime, it's between 10 p.m. and 3 a.m. What are the hormones? One is serotonin, that's your mood hormone. Another one is epithalamion, Epithalamin increases learning capacity and slows down aging. Everyone likes that one. And arginine vasotocin. Arginine vasotocin puts you into a deep sleep, and that's your natural painkiller. I met a lady who had had a head-on, no, not a head-on, the car come into the back of her, and it had damaged 3 of her vertebrae. She was 33, happened when she was 30. There wasn't much they could do except offer her painkillers. She said, I don't want to be painkillers for the rest of my life. Painkillers can actually cause an acid condition to even break your bones down more. Plus, she knew what it would do to her kidneys and her liver. So what she does is Pilates type exercise. You've heard of Joseph Pilates, who put this group of exercise, core strengthening. It's all about strengthening the core. I went to a class with Pam the other morning. We did core strengthening. We're lying on our back with a ball between our ankles, and the feet went up and down and up and down and over here and over here. Oh, really pulled at the core. Push-ups are a very good core strengthening. So she does Pilates type exercises 3 times a week, and she walks 5 kilometres a day. So you know what that walking does? Just strengthens the muscles, strengthens the ligaments, strengthens everything in the back. And that's how she managed it, with no painkillers. So that was good news. But also, she has to sleep. She has to make sure she sleeps and get those reviving hours. And this is your natural painkiller. You want your natural painkiller to kick in, you've got to go to bed early.
Is that 10 to 3? Is that what that says?
10 p.m. 10 p.m. to 3 a.m., they're the hours that the pineal gland releases the hormones. In the winter time, it's between 9 and 2. Something about your natural painkiller is when it's used, it leaves a waste. And if the next night the waste is still there, no arginine vasotocin is released. How do you get rid of the waste? You've got to exercise. So when she's doing that walk every day, she's releasing the waste build-up from using her painkiller the night before. The last one is melatonin. Melatonin is called your fix and rejuvenate nighttime hormone. So when you sleep in those hours, you're boosting your mood, you're increasing your learning capacity, you're slowing down aging, you're causing a release of your natural painkiller, and your body's getting its rest and rejuvenation. Dr. Matthew Walker, he's a neurologist from England. He's done a lot of research on sleep. He's written a book called Why We Sleep. And you can get little podcasts of him. A lot of people have seen him on podcasts. I was reading his book, and my daughter rang me up and said, Mom, I've been watching this podcast, you've got to see this guy. Anyway, I was reading the book at the same time. So it's a very popular book. It was only written in 2017. And he quotes a lot of research in there. In the 1950s, researchers were putting little electrodes on rats' heads and eyes. And they found that there were periods of the night where the rats' eyes were busy, and there were periods of the night where they were still. And they seemed to go in 90-minute cycles. And they called the rapid eye movement time, REM, rapid eye movement time. They found that when the eyes were rapidly moving, so was the brain. And the non-rapid eye movement time, yeah, that's what they call it, non-rapid eye movement. So what happened in non-rapid eye movement time? They found that there was a courier system. What do I mean by courier system? Everything that happens through the day is stored in our hippocampus at the back of the brain. It's called our short-term memory unit, the hippocampus. And while we sleep, there's a courier service that takes it from our short-range memory unit up to our long-term memory unit, which is in the cortex, the top of the head. So the courier service happens. Also in non-rapid eye movement time, there's a cleaning system. So why is there a cleaning system? Well, our brain needs to clean up from neuronal activity, waste from neuronal activity, waste from the combustion of oxygen and glucose in the brain cells. We've got 1 trillion brain cells. So what's happening in rapid eye movement time? In rapid eye movement time, there's a filing system. So remember, in the courier, it's going from our short term up to our long term, and now it's filed. And it files according to our dreams. That's when all our dreams happen. I don't know about you, but I have wild dreams. Wild dreams. But if you notice that you remember them more in the early parts of the day, that's when our dream happens. What's interesting about Dr. Matthew Walker, he's an atheist, but regarding dreams and filing, he said there's an order. So all the negative things are filed in a negative section, and all the positive things are filed in a positive section. He makes the comment, he said, it's almost as if sleep has an intelligence. I smiled, this is an atheist. Of course it's an intelligence. There's a God who's orchestrating it all, who planned it all, who organised it all. But our filing happens according to everything that's ever happened in our life, our attitudes, our experiences. And have you noticed they're all the things that come tumbling into the dreams? Something else happens in rapid eye movement time, a consolidation of everything that we've heard through the day. So it's almost like it's confirmed and put solid into our brain when we sleep. This is when our inventions happen. My brother and my father are inventors. They go to bed early, has a lot to do with it. Now, what they found was that there are periods of the night where non-rapid eye movement is busy, even though, of course, it's not busy because the eyes are still. And there are periods of time where this is the most prominent. So what Matthew Walker discovered, that you have to have 8 hours. He said, it's the only way the brain has the ability to do it all. But it's the early hours are the most important. And this information comes in line with that. So that's 8 p.m. to 4 a.m. or 9 to 5, that's probably my favourite, or 10 to 6. So let's choose 9 to 5 and see how this works. So we're going to look at the non-rapid eye movement time, or what happens, and the rapid eye movement. So let's look at our first 90 minutes. So this is 9 to 10:30. So from 9 to 10:30, non-rapid eye movement takes up 80%, whereas rapid eye movement only takes up 20%. So now we go from 10:30 to 12. So 10:30 to 12, we're looking at 60% non-rapid eye movement and 40% rapid eye movement. And then from 12 to 1:30, it's about 50-50. So you can see what's happening as the night goes on, we get this shift. And now we're going from 1:30 to 3. And now we've got 40% non-rapid eye movement and 60% rapid eye movement. And then from 3 to 5, we've got 20% non-rapid and 80% rapid eye movement. Now this explains so much. So when people go to bed at midnight, can you see what they're missing out on? They're missing out on their cleaning system. They're missing out on their courier system. They can actually wake in the morning and they've still got memories in their short-term memory unit. Can you see it? They're not getting the full. And what I'll show you tomorrow, something else happens in the cleaning system. It's called the glymphatic system, the cleaning system in the brain. Negative emotions can even be cleaned up. And this explains the importance of allowing the body to do all of its systems while we sleep. Dr. Matthew Walker, they did quite a few experiments. So they had 20 students in the university. They all heard the same lectures, all got the same information. 10 of them had 6 hours sleep a night. 10 of them had 8 hours sleep a night. 3 months later, they were both tested. And the 8 hours sleep, they retained almost 50% more information than the ones on 6 hours sleep a night. You see, this consolidation happens while we're sleeping. The man that invented the periodic table, there were a few little bits he just could not get. So he decided to sleep on it. You never stay awake on it, do you? Sleep on it. He woke up in the morning and it was there. It's the invention time. In Psalm 50, verse 4, there's a beautiful verse that I think talks about this. It says, "The Lord God hath given me the tongue of the learned, that I may know how to speak a word in season to him that is weary. He wakeneth morning by morning, he wakeneth my ear to hear as the learned." In those early hours of the morning, here we are here. This is where God can speak to us and can impress us. We wake up early in the morning. I know that if I'm maybe to give a meeting, I go to bed not sure how I'll put it together. I wake in the morning and it's almost like lightning flashes, just bang, 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 bang. In my mind I say, "Thank you, Father in heaven." And it's all clear. Don't we often say, "Sleep on it"? And he gives the story of a musician who had this piece and he just couldn't get one bit. He went to sleep, got up in the morning, jumped on the piano, got it. Just need that sleep. Unfortunately, because of technology, many people don't get enough sleep. There are 2 things that will stop sleep. If you wake in the night, if you do these 2 things, you'll never go back. And so many people, this is exactly what they do, which is why they can't get back to sleep. One is allowing your eyes to see technology. You see, the sunlight is the highest source of blue light. And they find that when our eyes get sunlight, I don't suggest you look at the sun, but just being outside in the day, you will get the rays coming in. It increases the ability to solve mathematical problems. It increases our tactical reasoning because on the retina there's a receptor site for it's called melanopsin, and it absorbs blue light. So the sunshine in the day is essential for brain health. So, yeah, and our brain needs sun, and it can only get it through our eyes. It doesn't get it through our ears or our nose or our mouth, only through the eyes. That's why if you have glasses, there should be periods of time where you have your glasses off when you're outside. If you can't see a thing, hold on to a tree. If you're not used to the sunlight, close your eyes and put your head up to the sun. And the rays of the sun will go through your eyelids and prepare your eyes. Just do it for a few minutes and then put your head down and open your eyes and you will be used to the sun. Because our eyes need that sun. So it's very important to get that every day, is the brain must have the sun. Where was I going? My mind flips to so many things.
Two things to stop.
Two things, thank you. Two things. I went way off on a tangent then. Why did I mention that? Because the screens have blue light, but not the same frequency. They have a different effect. They're a different frequency, but in the middle of the night, if you can't sleep and you get your screen, you know what the message to the brain is? Daytime, wake up. So if you can't sleep in the night, don't look at your phone. The last time, well, it was, I think I've been in the US 6 weeks today. 6 weeks today. And I know that if I can sit in the sun and let my eyes get sun, I will sleep. It's an incredible cure for jet lag. But the first night, you're so tired because you've so much traveling, you sleep. Second night, I was awake till 4 in the morning. Now at midnight, you don't know you're going to be awake till 4 in the morning, but oh, what a temptation to get that iPad on that screen. That's why you have it straight out of the bedroom. I eventually went to sleep, but that was it. Every other night since, I have slept well, but I make sure I get outside, because what happens is that sunlight goes in and resets your circadian rhythm. And your circadian rhythm is the rhythm that your brain runs at. And Dr. Neil Nedley, he found in his book, Depression: A Way Out, that 80% of people with depression, their circadian rhythm was out. And how to reset that circadian rhythm is to allow your eyes to experience the first hour of light in the day. So there's a good reason to do your early morning walk. So Pam and I, we climbed a mountain. She said, what time? And I said, about 20 past 5. I didn't realise it was very black at 20 past 5, but we did it. Had a little bit of flashlight so we wouldn't walk in the puddles. But as we're coming back, so the sunrise must be about, I don't know, 6:30, 20 past 6. That's what the time it was when we were getting back. But doesn't God make it beautiful? Almost as if he wants us to look at the rising sun in the morning. And now the research is showing that rising sun resets our circadian rhythm. Helps with depression. How many people that have depression go to bed late, get up late, and they never get that first hour of light? First hour of sunlight in a day. I live on the east coast of Australia, and if we're staying down by the coast is only an hour and a half away from me, and we go for a walk along the beach in the morning, there's always cameramen. They've got their cameras there getting that rising sun. Because if there's a little cloud here and a bit of red there, it's so beautiful, and it changes almost while you're looking at it. My husband's a pilot. He says the rising of the sun and the setting of the sun moves fast, but it doesn't move fast when it's up in the middle of the sky. And he said pilots have to know that, because they can get a wrong conception of time if they're just looking at the sun, especially the rising and setting in the middle of the day. So one thing that will stop sleep is allowing your eyes to look at the screen. So please have it out of the bedroom. The other thing that will stop sleep is getting annoyed at the fact that you can't sleep. If you get annoyed at the fact that you can't sleep, will you sleep? No. So you've got to do the opposite. And the Bible says in 1 Thessalonians 5:18, in everything give thanks. So I was advising a man who hadn't slept for years how he can train himself back into sleep. So I said, when you can't sleep and you're lying there, thank God that I'm in a bed. Thank you so much, Father, that I have a pillow. Thank you so much that I have legs that walk. Just sit there and think of all the things in your life that you can thank God for. It's called the attitude of gratitude. The Bible says, in everything give thanks, for this is the will of God in Christ Jesus concerning you. Thank you so much, Father, that I can't sleep because now I can talk to you. And often you will drift back to sleep. If I can't sleep, I go through the things that I've memorized. I love memorizing, and I've memorized some whole chapters out of the Bible. Now there's James chapter 1, I've memorized that chapter, and it's 27 verses. I rarely get past verse 13. In the morning I try and assess, now how far did I get? I certainly didn't get to the end. What's the old remedy? If you can't sleep, count sheep jumping over a fence. It's just something methodical. You just to take your mind off the chat room. You know how we go into the chat room? Chat. I've got to do this, and then I'll have to do that today. Chat. And I should have done this, and I should have done that. We know the chat room. Got to get out of the chat room. And how you can get out of the chat room is just distract yourself by humming hymns, songs, saying poems you might know, your Bible verses you know. If you haven't got any of that, you can put a soft light on and read a book, but don't get an exciting book. Okay, get a boring book about the life habits of the platypus or something. And that will help you to sleep. You've got to train yourself back into sleep. What I'm going to show you tomorrow is how you can rewire your brain. It doesn't happen overnight, but little by little by little. So 21 days of taking a new direction will set up a pathway 60 days before it's really in cement. I know from memorizing, after 21 days I've got it pretty good, but at 60 days it's in cement. And when it's in cement, one way I practice for if I'm going to present, and say I'm going to present a passage from the Bible, well, I'll do it backwards, not word by word, verse by verse. If I can do it backwards, I've just about can present it up the front. And so Psalm 50 verse 4, I believe that's a divine appointment that God has with every human being in those early hours of the morning. If you go to bed late, if you sleep in a bedroom that looks like a Christmas tree of technology, if your pillow's mouldy, if your bedding hasn't been washed for a while, if you haven't got that fresh air, if your window's shut, or your window might be open, but there's all this rotting grass outside, or leaves, you've got to check all of these things. I often go past houses and see how many have got open windows. And some of the windows, it doesn't look like they even open. So that fresh air must be circulating in the bedroom. Of course you must be warm. I'd rather have 3 extra blankets on and have fresh air. So I was in Wisconsin a couple of weeks ago and it snowed. Well, I only had my window open half a centimetre. And I had 3 woolen blankets on top of the feather quilt. So I was warm, but I was getting that little bit of fresh air. I got quite a bit because it was really blowing in. It's quite cool at the moment, isn't it? I've had my window open every night. I had to actually shut it by half because it was cold air coming in. So these are all things to assess to help you get a good night's sleep. Also, Dr. Matthew Walker, he looks at Alzheimer's. And in Alzheimer's, in all cases of Alzheimer's, they've found amyloid plaques in the front of the brain where we make our decisions. And I'm going to be looking at that tomorrow. They're like little calcifications build up. And what Matthew Walker shows that when we go to bed early every night, the cleaning system cleans up any start of those little amyloid plaques. And he quotes 2 very famous people that boasted that they only needed 5 hours sleep a night and they both had Alzheimer's in their latter years. One was Margaret Thatcher, very famous British Prime Minister. She boasted on 5 hours sleep a night. I think it was the last 15 years of her life she had severe Alzheimer's. And Ronald Reagan, the American president, he boasted on 5 hours sleep a night. And it was easily the last 20 years of his life that he had severe Alzheimer's. So isn't that enough incentive to aim for 8 hours sleep a night? What Matthew Walker shows that when you have 6 hours sleep a night, you think you're okay. When you have 4 hours sleep a night, you don't feel very good. But the concerning thing about 6 hours sleep is you feel okay. And he showed that 10 nights of 6 hours sleep a night, 50% decrease in cognitive performance, 50% decrease in physical performance. He also showed that there are more deaths to sleeping at the wheel than alcohol. That's incredible, isn't it? And of course, we're not condoning alcohol, but he said the problem with falling asleep at the wheel, you're asleep. When a person is under the influence of alcohol, at least they brake, probably not as well. And they do turn the car round, but not as well. But when you fall asleep, there's absolutely nothing that you do to that car. So there are more deaths to sleeping at the wheel than alcohol. And yet you hear a lot more about alcohol-related accidents compared to sleep, don't you? So Dr. Matthew Walker, he was asked to write a paper on sleep and show how students can use it so they can get more out of their studies. And so he talked about 8 hours a night. He talked about going to bed early. He talked about the importance of being well hydrated and not eating a large meal just before you go to sleep. Your stomach needs to sleep when you sleep. And he also said it wasn't good to have all the exams crammed into one section. There should be one exam, 2 days later, another exam, 2 days later, another exam. Well, they never asked him to write an article again. It is quite absurd the way they cram all the exams together, and how many of the pupils study all night. And they don't really
affect if you have a job like a nurse or somebody who has to work at night and sleep during the day. Is that reversed then?
No.
Or not?
No.
Oh, so they don't have the cleaning and the...
No. I know, I used to work as a nurse and I'd work all day and work all night and sleep all day and felt like I'd had no sleep. And I now realise why. It's because I wasn't getting this and I wasn't getting that. Someone has to do night duty. But try and do it as least as possible. The research is showing that people have continual late nights has a similar effect on the body to drug addiction and alcohol. Certainly breaks the body down and the brain down. So as much as possible, try not to get a night duty job, or if you do, as least as possible. And maybe get another job. What can somewhat compensate is keeping those laws. If you're well hydrated, if you're thanking God for every single thing that happens in your life, the daily exercise increases. Also, I say to people, if you've got to do night duty, as soon as you get home, go to bed. Sleep for maybe 4 hours. And then get up in the middle of the day, let the eyes get in the sunshine, have a nice big meal, and then if you start work at 10 o'clock, sleep from 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock or 5 o'clock to 9 o'clock. So you have those two sections, so you're actually grabbing a little bit of the morning and grabbing a little bit of the early evening as much as possible. And then on the days where you're not working, go to bed as early as possible. We have an amazing body and brain that has the ability to adapt and adjust, and this can be good news and bad news. And if your body has adapted and adjusted to late nights and not enough sleep, I trust this information that I've given you will inspire you to begin training your body back into good sleep. Are there any questions as we close? Dear, we've got a bit of an early mark. I'm quite early. I didn't realise I'd
And you get
too much sleep. Not as much as discussed on the too much sleep. The only time that too much sleep is not good is when it's done in the day. So going to bed at midnight and not getting up till 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So you're going along there, yeah.
what about menopause and losing sleep because of the cycle?
What they have found is that when the hormones are disrupted, and the disruption is high estrogen and low progesterone, progesterone helps you sleep. So we have seen a few ladies that have gone onto the Anna's Wild Yam cream, which boosts progesterone, and they're sleeping. So that is so absolutely the disruption in hormones can contribute to it. Some ladies experience it, some ladies do not experience it. Yes?
Does the time frame is the same for children? Or
For children, they need a lot more sleep.
if they don't get it?
And if they don't get it, we know it. But children love routine. That's why it's good to have a schedule so that they're in bed at a certain time every night. What I used to do with my children was easy with no electricity. But if you do have electricity, it's good to turn all the lights off and just have low lights on. No technology, no television, they're the things that keep awake. Have a light, if any, evening meal. Bananas stimulate melatonin production. So a banana is a great evening meal for a child. And also giving them a hot bath, giving them a story, and that they slow down really nicely. But if all the lights on the house are on and the television's raging and they've had a large evening meal, it's very hard to settle the children into sleep. My daughter-in-law, she puts her little ones to bed at 6 o'clock and they get up at 6 o'clock. And she's got shades to block out the light. And they're just so in the habit of it that they do. And they are 5 and 3. Yes?
You talk about taking melatonin as a supplement. How do you?
Okay, what about taking melatonin as a supplement to help sleep? I guess it hasn't been around long enough to know if it has any adverse effects. It has helped some people, that is true. I think that it can play a role to get the body back into sleeping. And there are a couple of herbs. One's valerian. I met a lady in Jamaica and she said that this had made a huge difference to her son. And she realised, that's better, she realised that her son had got into the habit of being on technology till midnight. He was about 15, 16. So they stopped the technology. It's a good idea to turn the Wi-Fi off 8 o'clock every night in the home. And if the teenagers protest, just say, sorry, sweetheart, I love you too much to let your brain be fried with the technology. But then he was now in the habit. And so she said the valerian made a big difference. It's a mild tranquilizer. Also, some people have found magnesium. And the best magnesium is magnesium citrate. That's the most absorbable form of magnesium, and probably about 500 milligrams just before bed. Some people have found that made a big difference. That's actually finding out what helps. Yes?
Okay, going back to when you were talking about going to sleep, what do you think of, what if you go to sleep with some light music playing, like some soft music? Is that?
Yeah, that has helped. That has helped some people to have soft classical music. And that, remember what I said, when a person can't sleep, the chat room starts, you know, chat, I'm going to do this and I should have done that, all of that. And what the music does, that can be a distraction, especially if it's soft music. That can be very good. It's very calming. You know the story in the Bible, whenever Saul was angry, he'd get David to play the harp and the soft music would calm him down. And soft music is known to calm down. Yes?
Mrs. Rob, I have actually a comment and a question. One was about the person that's about melatonin. And I've tried to take that, and there are different milligrams, like there like 3, 5, and I bought this bottle that says 12 milligrams on it. And I took the whole pill. Every time I try to take the whole pill of this, the next day I feel just crud. I mean, it looks like it's almost like a overkill. So I guess I'm saying that it may be too much for some people.
Yes.
You know? Yeah. So, you know, maybe because I already went to bed at a good time, so I already was producing some of the melatonin. And I just thought I'd take a little extra dose to help because I have a hard time. And this segues into my question. I have a hard time sleeping at night sometimes because I have, you know, night urinations. I don't know if that's like that 50-year-old symptom, you know, drinking too much water. And I just have a hard time with that. So kind of for those of us men who are that 50 and over age, kind of what to do about that, because that wakes me up 2-3 times a night.
Yeah, and that's waking up at night to urinate. So what one can do is drink most of their water in the beginning of the day and drink lighter in the afternoon. So it's just playing with that and seeing what works there.
Now, the magnesium citrate, does it have to be plant-based? Or which
I think that's the only magnesium citrate you can get is a plant-based.
Is there any recommendation for any brand name?
No, I'm not familiar with American brands, but I do know at Living Springs they use one called Calm. I think that was the brand they use. It's a powder.
The valerian?
Yeah. You use the root. It's not the most powerful taste, but you can get valerian capsules or tablets. The valerian tea is very, very strong. We put it in a tincture form, a glycerin tincture form, and give it to our guests if they need a little help to sleep. What Dr. Matthew Walker found is that sleeping tablets do not help. He said they do not give a quality of sleep, so you're far better to bite the bullet and implement everything that is conducive to sleep. The Ecclesiastes says the sleep of a labouring man is sweet. So a lot of people don't sleep because they don't get physically exhausted. Their work is brain work and they're tired, but when they lie down, then the chat room, remember the chat room, you've got to get out of that chat room, chat. So when I was training myself into 8 hours sleep a night, I used to say, since I turned 50, I only need 6 hours sleep a night. And when I read this book, whoa, I need 8. Because it's true, you feel quite okay on 6 hours. So I'd wake very early, as was my habit, but I'd make myself go back to sleep. And when I'd wake up early, then I immediately go, now I've got to dig this garden today, and I'm going to do this, and we're going to do. You know, all the inventions start happening. So I just cut that, and then I'd go for my memory verses, and it's a real discipline to bring that mind back, and I drift off to sleep. And so now I aim for ideally 8, no less than 7, maybe 7.5. So that's what I aim for now, and I was able to train my body into that. Any more questions?
I just have a comment. I have a Fitbit that I wear that analyzes my sleep every night. I am in there for 8 hours, but probably like 8 to 10% of that time I'm awake. Either, and it kind of, even if you just turn over, it shows like a little blip of awareness, but then you know, when you go right back to sleep. It's really interesting to look at that every day.
Well, what I think, and I met a lady who didn't sleep a lot, and I said, what do you do? She said, I just lie there. I said, that's good. That's good. So I don't think it really matters how much you're in and out, as long as you're there and you're relaxed. And be mindful when you go back to bed to lie there and be very thankful for everything that's happening in your life. Yep.
I was speaking with a man who sold mattresses, and he said that once you are, when you're in REM, once you start moving, that stops. And you have to be still for a certain amount of time, and I was wondering if there was a correlation with that 90-minute period. If you're in that for 90 minutes and 60 minutes in, you start moving around, what do you actually say?
So this man reckons that if you move in rapid eye movement time, it stops. I'd question that.
I had never heard it, but he lived in that history for a long time.
Yeah, yep. So I just take it that it's okay. Because you have no say over it, do you? If your arm's going dead, you turn. You had a question? Sleep apnea. We have seen many people get off their sleep apnea machines. And there are a couple of causes for sleep apnea. And one is when someone's carrying too much weight, especially the quite obese people. You'll find they're just about all on sleep apnea machines, because when they lay down, it's almost as if they're a bit drowned in all the fluid in the tissues. And the other cause of sleep apnea can be too much mucus in the eustachian tubes. And too much mucus in the eustachian tubes can block it somewhat, so that there can be a gasping for air because of that mucus flow in and out the eustachian tubes. Our eustachian tubes are our ears and our eyes and our nose and our mouth and our sinus in there. So what would be the cause of this mucus buildup? The most common cause is allergy. Either breathing in chemicals, breathing in mold can do it, because the mucus builds up as like a protection, almost to a protest, to protect the very fine mucous membranes that line all of those areas. And the other is allergy to food. And the most common food allergens are your peanuts, your dairy. Dairy is well known to be a mucus producer. The hybridized wheat, they're finding that is also contributing to this mucus buildup. And in some cases, in about 30% of cases, the oats can also be adding to it. And you put refined sugar on top of all that, and that just feeds it. So eliminating those foods, remember, it takes at least 2 months to see the full result of eliminating those foods.
What about seasonal allergies?
Seasonal allergies. I have found quite a few people testify to me of this, that when they've stopped those allergen foods, they don't react to the pollen anymore. So it all again gets back to the food we're eating. One man said, since I've stopped those allergen foods, I don't have a cat allergy anymore. Another man said, I don't have a horse allergy anymore. Quite a few people have said to me, I don't have a pollen allergy anymore. Another man said, I don't have a dust mite allergy anymore. All because they stopped those allergen foods. And it's easy today. You go to Trader Joe's, you get all these gluten-free pastas, gluten-free cereals. Not every gluten-free bread is very nice, but I gave you that website, www.simpleneeds.com. I don't know whether anyone's had a look at that, but they sell beautiful gluten-free bread, and they'll ship anywhere. That's Simple Needs, K-N-E-A-D-S. Yes?
For those who live in the area, Wildwood sells a non-chemically treated flour. And I'm highly sensitive to gluten, and I have been for over 10 years, and I can eat that.
The problem is, the only wheat that hasn't been hybridized is the Enkenhorn and the spelt. So they're the only ones that haven't been hybridized. Well, thank you for your attention. Do we have a...
About 83 Americans die from heart disease and stroke every hour. 88 million adults in the U.S. are pre-diabetic, and more than 84% of them don't even know they have it. At least 2.8 million adults die each year as a result of being overweight or obese. As stated by the CDC, these lifestyle diseases and others may increase your risk of severe illness if you become infected with the novel coronavirus. Are you a slave to medications and recurring doctor's visits? Are you stuck in the same round of seemingly unbreakable habits, hoping that someday things will be different? Are you sick and tired of being sick and tired? Do you want out? Good intentions are fine, as far as they go. But you will eventually have to make the choice to take a chance, or your life will never change. According to an article published in the Journal of the American Medical Association, diseases associated with poor diet and lifestyle choices, such as diabetes and cancer, are the leading causes of death in America. Are you ready to choose to change? Then it's time for you to take the 10-Day Fit Challenge. FIT stands for Food Inspiring Total Transformation. Scientific studies have made it clear that a whole food, plant-based diet, like the one we will provide for you, can boost the immune system, fortifying your body against infectious diseases, including viruses. Our body is designed to heal itself, and it will heal itself, given the right conditions. During the 10-Day Challenge, we will make personalized recommendations that will create the conditions needed for your body to let the healing begin. Here's what you can expect. First, we will take you through a comprehensive health consultation to ensure that you have an experience adapted to your specific needs. Second, you will be assigned to a health coach from our worldwide network of health nutrition consultants. They will be there to answer questions, offer counsel, and ensure that you have a safe, effective, and enjoyable experience. And third, we will design a plan specifically for you. In this program, you will receive an exercise regimen uniquely aligned with your health goals, private and group classes that feature life-changing science-based education and dynamic culinary workshops. And lastly, a unique nutrition program which includes fresh, picked organic produce in the true spirit of farm to table, a skilled chef who will create delicious, life-giving meals, and fresh pressed juices. These meals will be delivered to your home or business daily. Besides bringing you daily meals, we will also take a trip with you to the grocery store, where you will learn how to analyze food labels as well as pick the best produce for your future meal plans. This plant-based diet can help with weight loss, boosting immunity, and detoxing from the various toxins that bombard us every day. This challenge is geared toward your success, leading you to a restoration of the whole being, mentally, physically, spiritually. Here are a few stories of past participants who have gone through the program. Listen to how they have been encouraged and transformed by this 10-day challenge.
The 10-day challenge is hopefully a springboard to a lifestyle change that I'm planning on making. I recently was diagnosed with breast cancer, and it really opened my eyes to my health and the way I'd been living my life. And I want to be around for my family, my friends, and the world. So I think that this 10-day challenge, so far I'm on day 3, and I did the 2-day detox to start out with. I've already lost 4 pounds, and my energy level has skyrocketed. I just can't believe how much energy I have from eating a plant-based diet and how I don't feel lethargic from eating the processed foods that I was eating before, because I definitely didn't think it was going to go that way. And I've started eating the vegan plan today, and again, I worked in the yard all day, and I didn't run out of energy, I didn't feel hungry, and I feel nourished and whole. And I think if I continue to apply these lessons that I've learned through the program throughout the rest of my life, that'll definitely help out with not ever having cancer again, which is what my goal is, and getting healthy and losing a little bit of weight.
To find out more about the 10-day challenge or to sign up for the next program, contact us today. Why wait for a better life tomorrow when you can have it today? It's time to let the healing begin.